Hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. If you've not subscribed to our channel yet, please take a moment to do that now. Here on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, over the last few years, I've been slowly and methodically working through the collection These Stories of Ray Bradbury. There's 100 stories in all. Today I'm up to story number 90, and it is called The Blue Bottle, originally published in 1950. The way these videos work is that I do a brief synopsis of the action and the plot of the story, and then sort of wrap up with all my thoughts and feelings about what it all means, even to this day, decades and decades after its original release, because that's the beauty of a lot of good sci-fi. Although some of the trappings have since been passed by in our technology, our own sort of understanding of the world and science. A lot of the underpinnings, the deeper messages remain evergreen. So we'll see if that is the case today. So, The Blue Bottle, 1950. Two men, Beck and Craig, are riding around the wastelands of Mars searching for a mysterious treasure called the Blue Bottle. They're riding around in an old, beat-up land car that they found. It had been left there many years ago when a lot of the other more ambitious men who had come to settle Mars and industrialize it had basically had their fill of Mars and decided to move on to other planets and even indeed the stars. But two less ambitious men, Craig and Beck, are here still. They come to a city that is very, very brittle. Beck actually knocks down some of the buildings by basically touching them or hitting them with his drone. It's not really clear, basically to make it safe to enter. But what we know here is that it's been at least 10,000 years since the disappearance of the Martians, and this place is a ruin, like something out of ancient Egypt or older. Beck is looking for this famous treasure called the Blue Bottle of Mars, created by the Martians, and they don't know what's in it, but Craig, who is rather unambitious, hopes that maybe it's full of bourbon because he's really thirsty, and that's sort of the extent of his ambition. But Beck, he's been looking for it for years. This is his chance at greatness, he thinks, and it's a chance to prove that he could do something when here he is still on Mars while other more ambitious men have moved on, and it's basically his chance at fame, I guess. They enter a building. It's dusty. They search from room to room, separating. Craig eventually comes into the other room where Beck is. He's thinking of bourbon, and he says, I found it, and it's full of bourbon. I just had a drink. It's great. So they walk back in the other room. There it is in the corner, and Beck can only see the bottle as empty, and he wonders at that. Are you sure it was full of bourbon, he asks. Just then, a man walks up behind him with a gun, and he demands that they hand it over, and he's so sort of tickled with himself that I can't believe this was this easy. All these people have come looking for this bottle, and it's like, here it is. Is this all there is to it? How could it be so easy to come by? And apparently that is part of the story of the bottle, where it mysteriously changes hands a lot, and perhaps it has a curse. So the man with the gun, he rides away on his bicycle with the bottle. Later that day, after a lot of searching, they catch up to him. They find him in a ditch, sort of slumped over, no signs of injury, but he is dead and the bottle is gone. At that moment, he suddenly combusts and evaporates and sort of floats away into the air, nothing more than ash. But they do see in the distance three men running away. They probably have the bottle. They probably killed him. It's at this point where Craig takes his leave. He says, "Hey, I'm out. Happy hunting. I hope you find your bottle, but I'm not really interested. This is stupid." Beck continues to search. He eventually catches up to where the men were, and they too vaporize and disappear. And he is left with the bottle. And that is when he too is about to vanish. But what he does realize is that this is why nobody can sort of keep their hands on the bottle. They all die, and they're dying because the bottle grants them their wish, and deep down, many men, their wish is to, in fact, die and to be rid of their troubles and their worldly cares. But here comes Craig. He ambles along. He finds the bottle, picks it up, again full of bourbon, and he wonders at the fact that, man, I wish Beck were here. He really wants this bottle. It's too bad. I'd give it to him. But instead, it's full of bourbon, and Craig goes on his merry way, drinking himself to death happily. this is another case of Bradbury in a very deceptively simple story, eloquently expressing the human condition, to use the old cliche. And I think in this case, this is very much a male story. It's not exclusively male, but I think it very much more strongly relates to the male human condition, and especially I think more so in this time than maybe in any time before, where it seems like there's so much wealth and so much opportunity, and yet there's still many millions of people who feel like I'm not achieving what I hope to have, and I have these ambitions and I'm unable to fulfill them, but here's a chance at doing something great and sort of getting your wish and making things happen. I can relate to it. I'm 40 years old, single, never married, no kids, always a dreamer, but I've been either unable or too afraid at various times in my life to reach out and get these things at the right time. It's like I always feel like I'm behind the eight ball in life. It's one of those cases where if I knew now what I didn't know then, that's where I feel. And it's an idea where the dreaming is easy, but the obtaining is harder. But I do at the same time wonder at my childhood friends who a lot of them married young, now have kids, and they seem, at least to my eyes or my perception, happy in that life and that sort of mundane normalcy that I don't have. But at the same time, you also wonder if maybe they're unhappy. Maybe they wish they had a little bit of the freedom that I have. I've done a lot of things in the last 20 years that they didn't do because I wasn't tied down by any other things. But at the same time, I sort of covet them having things that I don't have. So it's a very interesting dynamic. More broadly, though, I think this is about the urge of many men to always explore. In this, first the men of Earth come to Mars, but they basically use it as a way station. They get natural resources, and that allows them to continue their journey onto other planets and then to the stars. This is still happening on our planet today. We've more or less conquered the Earth, but now we're moving on. We're seeing the planets, and we're even... just the other day I was reading a story about the potentials of faster than light travel, and there's actually work going on. I mean, it's probably a century away or more, but they're actually going through the motions of sort of laying the groundwork of what interstellar travel might likely be like. So it's very much real, and it's very much relevant even to this day. But now that I think of it, I think me in particular, I can speak to it, and maybe everybody sort of is represented in this story by both men. On one hand, there's the part of us that wants to be sort of lazy and just lay around and drink and enjoy life and do the mundane things, have the families, go to the, drop your kids off for sports, go to the games and concerts, go to the PTA meetings, all that shit. But at the same time, they want to go off and do bigger, more dangerous things. But embedded in all of this is sort of a death wish as well, because of the inability to sort of find the feeling you're looking for. You can't, not getting enough of either thing, or because you're saddled to one thing, you're unable to have anything of the other. It's a weird balancing act, and I quite like the way that Bradbury tackles it here. It's basically a genie in the bottle situation. Rub the bottle, get your wish. But to the surprise of Beck, he finally understands that most men want to die because we're men. We have death wish. We want to do something dangerous. So there you go. That was The Blue Bottle from 1950. Next time, probably won't be tomorrow because they're still working downstairs. But when I get to it, it will be the Long After Midnight from 1962, which is story number 91 of 100. We are nearing the end of Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, but I'm looking forward to doing that and taking a break from Bradbury, and then finally moving on and doing some of these other projects that I hope to do on the channel. But in the meantime, also look for lots of YouTube shorts, because I'm trying to sort of capitalize on that movement right now that they're monetized for 7 cents per 1,000 views. But it is getting us more subscribers, which is good. So there you go, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.